Welcome back to another episode of the Power Talks Pod. Here we have Dylan Reda, and he is the sports director of UbrZati in Melbourne, Florida, and we're ready to hop into it. What's up, Dylan? Thank you so much for coming on.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk, training, movements, all of it. It's gonna be good.
It's
Dude, we
gonna
were
be
talking
fun.
before about all the different sports that we're interested in, specifically the martial arts and the UFC and all the different variations of it. It's a crazy world, martial arts.
Man, it's crazy. Yeah, and I've finally been back on like the mats hitting some jujitsu like consistently for the last couple months. And it's like reignited because like I wrestled in high school until my junior year. And then, like football took over. And then I was always kind of on and off, like getting into jujitsu. But now I've been really consistent the last like 2.5 months, like doing gi and just like the art itself of jujitsu is so like ingraining. Like you're having to think constantly a step ahead. It's like, man, I just really like have been enjoying the process of learning, right? Because I've always been able to get by with just having wrestled and being like pretty athletic. And now it's like learning the technique and actually having to like get in bad situations and be like, all right, now I got to sit here and think about what I'm doing. So now like it gives me even more appreciation watching, real mixed martial artists, like what they do.
Are you new into jiu-jitsu, or do you have a little bit of a background?
A little bit, I'd say, probably like in total prior to this consistency, maybe like a year and a half of like total time in the last 10 years, probably. Like it'd be a couple months I'd get on the mats and then I'd be off because of football or because just life, and I never was able to. And it was always no gi previously, and now I'm going gi. So that's been a whole different ball game too, right? Like the grips and the different chokes you can utilize with the gi. It's actually
So
crazy,
explain
like
that a little bit. Explain that a little bit because I don't really understand that much. Like how is it much how is it different with the gi and where are you seeing those biggest differences?
the gi just adds like a dimension that like having to utilize the gi, it's like you can constantly grip the gi. You can grab the belt, you can grab the collar, you can grab the sleeves on the pant legs. So like getting grips broken off of you, especially if it's a high level guy that you're rolling with, they've got that death grip, man. They like when they grab a hold of the collar or the sleeve and you're like trying to fight the grip to pass guard or do something like that. It's like it's tough, bro. It's actually like a whole different dimension to the grappling where like if you're just wearing a rash guard and trunks, I've got to grab your neck or your wrist or whatever. And I've always, having wrestled, it felt better to grip like that. Like I can cup the back of your trap and shoot a takedown or whatever. And now having the gi, you use the gi for trips, submissions. Like, yeah, it's actually wild, man. Or
Like
getting reversed, you just get the belt grabbed and all of a sudden you're getting flipped. It's actually wild.
it's like when the UFC first started and Hoist Gracie would wear the gi into the matches and
Dude,
let the guys grab onto the gi and then it was over.
yeah, it was crazy.
It
Like they thought
definitely
they could use it against him, but they had no idea how to use it.
right. It definitely has a another element to the sport. I've never trained with a gi though. I've only done 10th Planet. I've only trained like the only experience I have is with 10th Planet, no gi.
Okay, but that's like where the grappling world is going, like Craig Jones and Gordon Ryan and all these guys that are like changing the way that the grappling goes. It's like I like it because it's more real world, I would say, right? Because like my shirt is not the same as a gi, like I can still grab it and utilize it, but like I'm not going to be able to get a collar choke with the shirt like you can with the gi on. I can't grab a sleeve if you've got a short sleeve shirt on. So, and then obviously in regards to like MMA itself, the leg locks and the X guard and all that stuff that like you have to be really good at without a gi on, or else, like you can't you can't just pull full guard anymore. It's like,
Yeah.
that's not the game. Like you can't, you got to be able to use knee shields, be an X guard, single leg X. Like you have to be constantly attacking the legs, which is like, that's a whole other thing too. Like going for legs, you watch these guys do no gi high level and it's like constantly ankle picks, knee bars. I'm like, dude, I
Yeah.
want to walk, bro. That stuff scares me. I
Yeah,
can't
yeah,
lie.
it's brutal. It's brutal. And you don't really see too many I don't know if it's because like mutual respect or if it's just they don't find themselves in it, but I don't see many people getting in the UFC tapped to those
Right. But
submissions.
Renata, we were talking about it earlier, like the mixture of everything that MMA is like you still always have to take in consideration you're going to get punched in the face when you're in those positions. So
True.
it's like if I'm going for a knee, I've got to use both arms to lock up your leg, and then you're
Yeah.
susceptible to just getting beat up like your buddy. You could just get face palmed and just pummeled real quick. So I feel like
Yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why you see. I think the only guy I remember being like the knee bar guy was Rosamar Paul Harris, and he was like, dude, he was dirty with it. I think he got kicked out of the UFC because he always would hold submissions too long. Guys would tap and he'd still be cranking on the knee, and it was like, dude, come on, bro, you're trying to ruin people's lives. Like, I still want to wake up tomorrow and walk.
So speaking on that, how have you adapted your training? Like, have you tried to had to change anything up, or are you sticking with the same things really?
Man, it's been tough actually. So like, because I try to get on the mats at least 3 to 4 times a week for sure. So I'm sticking with like, I lift at least 3 times a week, just full body. You know, obviously lots of landmine, lots of coiling. I've been trying to introduce, right? Brett, been watching you and like all the other guys with the kettlebells. I'm like, man, I got to get going with these kettlebells. I feel like, so I've been trying to slowly introduce more kettlebell work. I definitely feel like I need some work with the kettlebells. Like somebody needs to kind of run me through it a little bit more. So, but obviously lots of coiling movements. And then I'm doing speed, you know, twice a week, maybe 3 times a week if I'm feeling like if my body's feeling good. So I'll normally hit the mats first, and then I'll try to get my workout in after that. And it's been working out pretty well. I really haven't like lost or gained anything. I'm like 220. So, you know, I feel pretty good still. But I honestly think as long as I can train, do at least 2 full body workouts, and then do speed work twice a week, like I'm good with that, you know, because that's like what I tell the kids at the facility, like speed kills, you know, like that's like really at UbrZati, what we thrive on is the speed stuff. And that's why it's like, it's so crucial in any sport. Like if you're the fastest kid on the court, field, water, whatever it is, you're going to succeed. And it translates from what we do on the treads and on the ground into the pool. You know, we see swimmers come through and like they swim faster, you know, or like we've had dancers come in and, you know, they jump higher if it's like a ballerina or whatever, they move quicker with more efficiency. So as long as I feel like I can get on the tread and do 2 speed days a week also, I feel pretty good.
Do you guys do any lactic loading at UbrZati?
Lactic loading, no. We're pretty like we're very streamlined. Like, so Bo, he created the protocols for the tread, and those are real 8 weeks, 2 times a week. The kids get on. Like our main focus is movement, you know, so it's speed, agility, quickness, reaction, and then any of the lifting stuff that's kind of second to what our focus is. So obviously like the bread and butter of the facility and what we do is the speed work. So we always start the kids off, you know, good dynamic warm up. And then we're always hitting fast feet, you know, doing McGinty and Marinovich system. So firing the feet, getting the kids, you know, CNS fired up, you know, quick feet, quick pop, quick hops, like 2 or 3 yards. And then they get a little burst. And then we're getting them out on the lasers right after that. So they hit the lasers when they're fired up, and we get them, you know, do a couple fly 10s or whatever we're running, and kind of can gauge where the athletes are at, you know, like what Kula talked about. Like that'll give you an idea that kind of paints the picture for how that session should go. So if the kid's looking fast that day, we're like, okay, like they're going to have a good day on the tread. If they're a little slower than normal, then maybe we'll take it easy on their speed work. You know, we'll lighten the speed a little bit, maybe do a little bit less. And then we were doing this Kula Z protocol that we had worked on with Brian Kula, and it was a lot of acceleration focus. And Bo made a whole new protocol for the treads that we were running. And the kids, they got a little bit faster, but I'd say like as a whole, we were kind of like, we didn't see too much of an improvement. So then we went back to our original protocols that Bo has been running for 25 years. And all of a sudden, like after this last 8-week cycle, our kids with the McGinty with the lasers and then the original protocols. I mean, we had like 5 kids hit 20 miles an hour on the treadmill that were like 17 mile an hour before. It was crazy. We were like, dude, what? Like we kind of found the secret sauce for the speed work, maybe. So this next 8 weeks through the summer, we're on week 2 right now, will be interesting. So that's our speed portion, and then the agility portion is, I've been doing speed and agility stuff since I was 24, since I was your guys' age, about 10 years. And I GA'd at Southern Miss. I thought I wanted to be a strength coach, and work in the collegiate setting. And I did that for a year. And like, man, that made me realize like those guys are overworked and underpaid for sure.
Yeah.
Like being a collegiate strength coach is a hard job. And like, it made me earn way more respect for my strength coach in college. And also made me go, man, I don't want to do this, dude. Like they're putting in 15-hour days at, whatever university they're at, in the weight room, on the field, at practice. And then they're home for 5-6 hours to sleep basically. And they're back right at it like the next morning. And I was like, dude, like, I love you for putting in all this time, but like, go see your family kind of thing, So I did that.
They're getting blamed.
And then that made me realize like, this isn't the avenue I want to pursue. I had done Phil Bommarito stuff back in high school. And then like doing my pro day, getting ready to like try to go play professional football. Like I did fall in love with the development of speed work. So I was doing a lot of field work, speed and agility. And that kind of took me into doing my own agility stuff on the field. And then, really spiraled into ending up at UbrZati 2020. And I've been able to like develop my own, programming for the youth agility stuff, which goes hand in hand with the treads. And that's our bread and butter. So, lactic loading and anything like that, we haven't really experimented with anything like that. Now that I've gone full circle. Sorry, guys.
No, that was great. Yeah.
That was amazing. That was great.
Yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, I'm definitely not the lactic guy. But yeah, it's an interesting question because yeah, like when you're developing speed for an athlete, that's not going to be the ideal protocol, right? But then there's certain athletes that need that quality, like fighters.
Facts, dude. Exactly. Yeah, they definitely to be able to like last. You think about like 3 5-minute rounds in a fight. Like that doesn't seem like a long time. But then when you're in there and you're doing it, even just grappling for 5 minutes, you are like, you've never felt that kind of way ever in your life until you've experienced it. Like it's crazy.
100%.
So being able to like withstand the lactic buildup as a fight goes on is something that I think, is maybe something interesting to look for in other sports, because it's like, I think about football, right? You play, depending on the level, 4 quarters. Could be 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15, depending on what high school, college, professional. That is a long time, but each play is 6 seconds and then you get a break. 6-second burst, 8-second burst, then you get a break.
Yeah. The total amount of effort in a fight versus a football player's effort in the football game, even though the football game is significantly longer, like the total amount of time, the effort put out, there's more effort put out in time for a fighter than a football player.
Yeah, I could see that. I think also I would have to say, I feel like it's position specific though, as well, because I feel like the guys in the trenches, O-line, D-line dudes, those guys are going hard every play, which is like, if a quarterback or a running back, they might not be making contact every single play. They might be running out. Obviously a quarterback, like I don't say it's a prima donna position, but you're not getting that physical toll that you are as, the center or even, the corner and the receiver. They don't have as much force behind it, but they're definitely like getting physical every play of the game. So I would say that maybe like the D tackles and the interior offensive linemen, those guys are probably experiencing maybe about the same as a fighter, and they're 320 pounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something you have to consider too.
Yeah. And some of those guys are running like 4.7 40s. It's crazy. It's insane. Yeah. Like watching the NFL Combine this year, I don't think I'd seen that many guys run 4.4s, which is like, it shows you that where like the training that we're talking about, right? Like people are changing the way they're doing things and people are getting faster. And it's like, if I've got 10 of the top DBs all ran 4.4s, something's different than what was going on 10, 15 years ago. So it's pretty crazy. I like to think like how things are changing. So I don't know, that kind of goes into just like how we've all, right? Like I love watching your stuff, Brett, how you're really like utilizing all of it with how you train. And Andrew, like your movement is so like, I want to move like you, Andrew, and I want to throw kettlebells and like, I wish I could like sit there and just do that for like 2 hours. But like my workouts now are like 45 minutes. Let me make it quick. Bang, bang, hit my landmines, hit some pull-ups and push-ups or whatever. And then I'm like, all right, now I got some sessions I got to run. So
but
definitely.
I was just gonna say, seeing the progress in like the combine, like you're just talking about, it kind of makes me want to ask the question, what is yours? Because you're getting a lot of success with your athletes. What is your training system at this point largely based off of? What systems are you following? And then what have you put in yourself with your own creativity?
Yeah. For like us at the facility, I'd say, like I said, we've like implemented, obviously the USR stuff. We've been doing a lot of Kulas. It's called bounce fire. So like we utilize the bounce fire in the warm up. That's just kind of getting the kids coordination and twitchiness. Like, like single leg, fire the leg. You're bouncing on 2 straight legs and then you snap your knee up, bum, bum, and getting the kids like coordination with those quick twitches, and then throwing in the Marinovich McGinty Power Plus stuff, like really train fast. Like everything's got to be quick. And then that lights the CNS up, and then the kids are flying. Then it's like we let them open up and run. So I've been doing McGinty stuff like in my own, like I already incorporated it into my agility stuff. So the kids that were doing agilities twice a week as well as speed twice a week, we're getting that. But now we're doing it every single day with every group. And that's made the difference, I think, in this speed across the board. Like as soon as the kids are done with their warm up, they'll do the bounce fire during the warm up, and then they'll get a swig, and then we line them back up in their warm up lines, and everyone's doing fast feet. Like I don't care if you're doing strength afterwards, if you're doing agilities, or if you're going to the tread. And I think that's definitely been like the difference maker. And then obviously, like, man, what McGinty's doing is really cool, but it's like you think back to Marinovich, who he learned under, and Marv was doing this stuff with Troy Polamalu and BJ Penn. Like those guys were already doing this stuff. It just wasn't as blown up as it is now, right? It's starting to really like, which McGinty's done a great job of getting it there. And like, dude, he's really streamlined it so that it can be more feasible for, an average athlete or a good coach to just come in. And you might not be able to have that like eye, like he was talking about, like he can see the 0.98, like it took him 10 years to get that, but like you can still see it. Like I can see this kid's moving pretty good today, at least enough to get them out of there. Right. Like break.
And one thing that I want to mention is it's crazy how Christian McCaffrey's success and the stuff that Kula has been doing with him, in my opinion, may have a huge correlation towards the combine getting that much quicker and people changing their training styles. Because I remember I watched a Kula video maybe 2 or 3 years ago where he was talking about this stuff. I was like, maybe I'm gonna add some of that stuff because Christian McCaffrey's doing all that. So let's see how it works for me.
Dude, facts. Yeah, it's like training like a sprinter, all day. Like because everyone wants to get fast. So sprinters are always fast. And then that's even been like listening to Tony Holler, and like how he does the feed the cats. And you don't need to go all out every single sprint. You need to optimize recovery. And I feel like that's the biggest thing too, that kids have a hard time understanding is like recovery, like between runs or between reps. Like I'm not going to hop back up on the tread and try to go 25-degree incline, 12 miles an hour, 15 seconds after I just did a 10-second run. And I'm always telling the kids like, hey man, catch your breath, dude. You got to recover. Like, I know you're like, I want to go, I want to get done, but like, I want the best out of this run, or I want the best out of this rep. Like if we're going to go hard, every rep, you need to make sure you're ready to go hard every rep. So that's like a big proponent or portion of, I feel like, educating like the youth kids at our facility too, is like, hey man, catch your breath. But there is also a time where I want you to work when you're tired. And I know that was something that, like, they had that podcast, roundtable when everyone was speaking at Outside the Box. You can't, like, old school football mentality, like, oh yeah, like you need to work when you're tired. And I still do believe that you need to be able to work when you're tired. Like, there's always that part of me that's going to be like, if it's the fourth quarter or the fifth round of a fight or whatever, I still need to be able to move right and have the right movement patterns while I'm tired, as I did in the first or second quarter. And I can only get that way if I train while I'm tired and I'm still focusing on my movement pattern. Maybe it won't be 100% speed, but if I'm like 85% speed in the drill, right at the end of the workout while we're doing crossovers or whatever, then I know, like, I'm focusing on movement. I'm not going to be mad at a kid for, hey, you're moving good, even though you're tired. I can see that. And like, that'll translate to the court or the field or whatever. So there is like that.
On that.
What was that?
I have a quick question on that, because you're saying like being able to move at 85%. So something that we did a lot in swimming was we would stay at that 70 to 80% threshold and get extremely good at it. We get really good at that 80% because, like, in races, for example, if you're swimming anything above a 50-meter, you have to have some strategy, because you can't go all out for 100 meters.
For sure.
It's not the same as running. And so is there value to not always being at that 100%? Like, Reda and I talk a lot about RPE and being a little bit lower, like 70, 80, getting really good at that, but while having all the movement patterns. And then that kind of also helps the brain when you're going into those 100%.
Definitely. I definitely think there is, like, because the kids know they can handle this speed, right? Like coasting, sometimes they're like, oh, you're coasting out there. Well, sometimes the kid needs to coast, right? All right, I'm staying at this 75% pace right now because I know I'm going to have to get a burst at the end or whatever it might be. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I've got like another 150 meters. I want my last 50 meters to be hard. So I'm going to stay at this 80% right here, pace it. Maybe everyone's kind of like even. And then I know I need to go all out on that last 50 meters and try to really push myself, to get everything out of what you've got, because you only have so much energy. Right. And that's like going to another thing with like the just recovery and being like able to understand when you can utilize that. Like, hey, I'm tired. We've got 3 reps left. I'm going to focus on my movement and stay at 80%. And then this last rep, I'm going to give it all out because I know that I've got a little bit more left in the tank to try and win the last rep or whatever it is. And like, I can't fault an athlete if I'm training them in the facility and I see that, I'm like, hey man, the rep looks good. Make sure, if they're doing like a crossover to the cone, that's like the biggest thing, right? Other than like recovery, I think and like utilizing your energy is like teaching the kids to give that effort still. Like, you can give me 80% effort, but if you're not getting to the cone or running the drill right, like, I can't teach you that more than I already did. And I feel like that's another thing we come across, like we'll be in that pacing movement right while you're tired. Last rep, I want you to give it all. But there'll be kids that are, that they're really loafing. They're not giving you the movement that you want. And then they're not getting to the cone or they're not running the drill right. And it's like, man, I can't teach you to do this. Like, you've got to show that you want that. Like, I want to move right and still show that I'm giving good enough effort to finish the drill. So I think that's, like having that dog is like another thing that, like, it's hard for a lot of kids to like figure that out, or it takes time.
Yeah, for sure. So if you're talking about recovery, do you what is the training split like for the athletes in y'all's gym? And do you have any days that are, low CNS recovery days?
Definitely. So we do, right. Colin's working with us now. Burwinkle, he works with Bam and Carly, and he's an ex-GLS guy. And he does gateway movement also. So he does recovery days where they just focus on straight recovery movement patterns while they're tired. So we offer that class in facility as well. So we already know, like, if a kid comes in and they look like they're like the day was already rough, or they they didn't do great, or they've, maybe they're a little sore or whatever, we'll just send them, even if they're not signed up for that recovery class. Hey man, go do recovery with Colin. And Colin's great, like his movement is so on point. So he does the movement, and then him and I have collaborated and we're doing strength together. So he does the beginner strength, making sure their movements are like ready to go up and start doing landmine, start doing some Viking bar squats. So if they can't get past his like borderline baseline threshold, then we're like, you're not ready to come up and move weight with efficiency. So having him in has been really good. Bo and Thiem and Dario, the owners of the facility, have just like done a great job of, this is what we are. We are speed, and we do the protocols, the UbrZati protocols, but they've really let us have our own creative freedom to be able to incorporate, and they've put us in positions to really be able to learn. Obviously, like we brought in Alex and did the landmine cert, like 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And then we've had David Weck. He's always been around, like since then, in and out. He's done Weck certifications at the facility multiple times. Obviously Chamberlain, dude, that guy is not human. Like,
That's a freak for
can
sure.
we talk about like a 1% human being? Like Chris Chamberlain is a 1%er, dude. That guy he blows my mind every time he does.
What blows my mind about it is when you first see him in person, it kind of is more shocking. Well, it definitely is more shocking than when you see him on Instagram, because he's not the biggest guy in the world.
It's like 175, right? Like 5'10", and then he's just doing insane strength feats. He moves. I remember, so like it was the first WEX certification that he didn't come out when we did the landmine cert the first time, and David was there, and David talked about Chris, and like I'd already been following him on Instagram, and then he came out and did the WEX certification the next year, and he coached the whole thing, right? And then I was like, yeah, man, like he was crawling and he was doing, the wall coils, looking like a straight lizard when he was doing them. I'm like, bro, he looks like he really moves like that. And then I was like, the only thing I hadn't seen, it was wild, right? I was like, the only thing I haven't seen Chris do yet is sprint. So I was like waiting to see, because that's always like, all right, this guy's like certified. If you look like you can sprint and then you can actually sprint, I'm like, you're strong, you've got great movement, and you're fast. And then he took the pulsars, and it was the old WEC vest that they had. And we opened up the garage door because we were at this old facility, and he took off for a 40 and he was flying. I was like, all right, dude, Chris is like, he's like that. Like the dude is a freak.
That's insane, man.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's crazy, dude. So watching him is like insane. And then, yeah, so like I was saying, man, like Bo and Thiem and Dario have really like blessed us, like, to really do outside the box and like be able to think outside of just like this square of, this is how training is. You need to have your CSCS. You need to have a master's degree in strength and conditioning. You need to check all these boxes that, you need to be good with your, read the anatomy book and like tell me the black and white of human movement. And then you see all these other people doing things that are not that and doing insane things. You're like, man, how do I get like that? Or how do I move my kids to be more like that? And, Bo and Thiem are like, all right, cool. We're going to put you in positions to learn these different movement patterns or strength patterns or whatever. And then let's apply it all together and see what happens. So we're like, I feel like we're in this process too at UbrZati where like, we've got big things coming in the next year and a half. Like we're in the facility we're in, but we're going to end up being somewhere bigger. And we're going to really have this, like this Z method that I think is going to be all encompassing with like all the things that we've learned and are continuing to learn. And we're going to try to really like hone it all in to do some cool stuff, like, man, that's why I want you guys to come in for at least a weekend and we can all train together, and like,
for sure.
And just really bounce ideas off each other. And
yeah, like going off of that, Brett and I we're super interested in this one topic within ourselves. And we want to know what's your perspective on it. How far do you go into a training methodology before you start altering or going into something else?
Okay. It's a good question. Like I feel the first thing I dove super hard into was, man, like Olympic lifting back in the day, right? Like learning how to clean and jerk. And I was like, yeah, dude, this is how you get powerful. So I'm only going to do clean pulls. Yeah. I'm only going to do power cleans. I'm only going to do clean and jerk, whatever. Right. And that was it. Like, if you can't do those or throw 3 plates around on that, you're probably not explosive or powerful. And, I think that was like my main thought probably through college, you know, because we did. And I was definitely like, dude, I was explosive for sure. Like I was jumping like 37-inch verticals and stuff like that. But I also think about how my movement patterning was. And I see like videos of how I ran, and I was real stiff. You know, I was like kind of robust moving. I wasn't fluid. So there was like a point after I tore my ACL, actually, that was 2014. I tore my ACL. And I was like 245. I was doing heavy clean pulls all the time. And then I went out there to play flag football. And I was working as a GA at the time. So I just lived in the weight room. You know, I had free swipes at the calf still. I was eating whatever, unlimited protein shakes from the facility. I was working out myself like 3 hours a day, just right. Like, I just want to be a meat man. Like, dude. And I was strong. Like, I squatted 600. I benched 455. I power cleaned 345. Like, I was like strongest I've ever been. Went out there to play flag football, and I could feel it. I was like, bro, I don't feel very athletic. Sure enough, tear my ACL. And my dad even warned me. He's like, hey man, you know, you want to go play football in Europe. And I was talking about going over there to play. He's like, I don't think you should go out there and play flag football with your buddies. You might get hurt. I was like, yeah, whatever, dad. You look at me right now, dude. I'm the man. Go out there, tear my ACL. I was like, all right, I got to do something different. Like, that kind of switched my mentality in that moment. So then I did all my rehab with at Southern Miss still. And I ended up playing 4 months, 2 weeks post-op. But all I was doing at that time was like rehab, obviously for my quad, but I was doing like 3/4 depth squats. I was running the stadium a lot. And I was in the pool a lot, doing tons of pool work, you know, plyos in the pool, you know, stuff that now like Marinovich does with his guys, and, you know, McGinty does with the guys. Like, but I was doing it during that time, and I didn't even know about these training methodologies. And I was like, hey man, my leg feels good. Like, I felt not 100%, but I played, and I was like, I had a knee brace on. I was probably 80%. And that was 4 months after I tore it and went under the knife. And just doing that stuff, like, made me feel more fluid in a 4-month time span. Like, I just lived in the pool or at this, running the stadium, constantly running the stadium. 3/4 depth squats, like not getting deep at all, but my legs like maintain some size. So I feel like it's a never ending cycle. You know, you're constantly like pushing yourself to a certain limit in a training, maybe not to the point where you're tearing your ACL, but like you're pushing yourself to see what you can get out of that methodology. And then you're like, okay, maybe I'm going to start trying something different now also. But being able to keep what you learned or what you did with it, you know, and that's like the great thing about what we do. You know, it's like we're our own lab rats. So it's like, then I dove into the landmine stuff, and I was doing landmine all the time. I was like, dude, I love this. And like, I definitely got explosive and strong and powerful, but then my back sometimes would start, when I would coil too hard, when I'd catch like a heavy clean from the floor, sometimes even now, like I still feel it. I don't know if I have like a dislocated rib back there, but sometimes when I go real heavy, I feel it a little bit. So for like a year and a half, I was doing that. And then I kind of got away from doing tons of landmine. And then all year last year, actually, I did fire school, and then I was a fireman for even until I saw you guys in February. I left the job in April of this year. But in fire school and on the fire grounds, all we were doing was running circuits with our gear on. And like, dude, I'm going to tell you, that was probably some of the hardest workouts I've ever done, period. Like on air, 30 to 45 minutes, sledgehammers, ropes, hoisting the hoses, dragging the hoses, dummy drags, walking flights of stairs, and all of that gear. Like, those were some of the hardest workouts I've ever done. End of discussion. I still stayed in like really good shape. You know, like I didn't lose any size or anything like that. And I was like, dude, I can't even lift. I can't even do speed work. I'm just going to do these circuits with gear. And it was like 3 times a week we do that. And I was just But now I'm not working at the fire department anymore, so I'm not doing that. But
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, going off of that, right? Like where you're at now in your career, is it passion that's led you here, or has it turned into the profession aspect where you're working with these people and it's the responsibility?
it's both. I'm passionate about seeing the kids move better, gain confidence, and really the confidence is the biggest part for me. I love seeing the kids come into the facility on their first day. And then at the end of like an 8-week cycle, they'll do their first eval. So we do like week 1 is just evaluations. They do laser times. We just gauge where they're at. And then they go 8 weeks straight of treads and agility. And then the kids, right, we do strength classes too. So we have that like once a day. So if a kid wants to do strength, they could come in and do strength or whatever. But then at the end of the 8 weeks, seeing the improvement for the kids, and then like having them come talk to us about how it's going in their sport. Like I love that, like, man, that like makes you feel good. You know what I mean? That is the profession to me, like it's professional, but I'm passionate about hearing those kids relay those messages. And then working with the high level guys, like I know that the collegiate guys, they're training a certain way all the time. They're in that collegiate strength and conditioning program. Like I know how that is. So it's good for them to come in and change it up a little bit. Like we really get them doing straight speed work. They're not getting cardioed to death, running gassers or 110s. Then if they want to lift, I'll have a lifting day and we'll do lots of coiling, because they don't know how to coil even. Oh, I'm doing heavy cleans. Just like, right, how I was thinking back, like, yeah, that'll get you explosive, but like, let me show you another way to incorporate it. Like you can still do heavy clean pulls and then partner that with a landmine clean. And then you're going to be throwing some weight, and then partner that with a kettlebell split jerk, right? Like then I'm getting all 3 of those movements in one day. And it's like, cool. Now I'm playing with, a little bit of all of it. I get a compound movement, I get a coil, and then I'm exploding through with the kettlebell for that stability. So yeah, I'm just like, yeah, I'm at this point right now where like when I was working for the fire department, I was doing 2 days at the gym and then 1 day at the department, 2 days at the gym. And I loved being around the guys at the firehouse, and like the job was rewarding in the aspect that you're, I'm helping people in like their time of need. But like, it was taking like dude, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I was on the job in the city I was working for 7 months, and I had 6 pediatric deaths. I had 2 fires with 7 people die.
Damn.
I was really like thinking like, dude, I don't know if I want to do this, for my whole life. Like, do I want to do 20 years of this? And, all the guys in the firehouse that have been around for a while, they're like, hey man, you get used to it, like you'll be all right. But I think coaching kids all the time and then seeing kids in those situations too, and then obviously having kids of my own, it really made it harder for me to like comprehend that stuff, and like being around the kids all the time and like coaching them up during the day. And then on my very next shift, I've got a 4-month-old that goes into cardiac arrest and dies. And I'm like, it would just like shocking, I'm like, dude, this is tough. And it's real life, like this is reality. And so then I talked to, Thiem and Bo, and they're like, hey, we want you back full time at the facility. And I was like, I realized that's where my real passion is, like building these kids up. You know what I mean? Like, I love the guys for what they do for the kids in those situations. But for me, it was hard to like get to that point where I'm like, hey, I'm going to do CPR on this little girl that just got pulled out of a house fire. And like, I want to help, but I'll freeze up. I feel like I get frozen, like I don't know what to do right now. Like that little girl looks like my daughter. So yeah, man. So that was tough. So then when like I had that conversation, Thiem and Bo gave me the opportunity to come back to like, hey, we want you back full time. You're going to be running the floor. You're the guy. Like you've been around for 5 years, Mike is the director of operations, and then I run the floor. I'm always overseeing, who goes where. Hey, this kid's not feeling good. You're going to recovery with Colin. I'm running the ground. If I want to run a tread, I get to run a tread strength session. I'm going to run the high level strength. And like, they've given me that opportunity to make it now my profession. So now it's come full circle because I guess I really never gave it the opportunity to be my profession. It was always a passion, but now it is my job. And I love it, bro. So like now we've gone full circle again in the
I think
conversation.
it may
Sorry.
even,
I feel like
I
I'm
think
just
it,
rambling now.
no, this is perfect. I think it
Hey,
may
no,
even
it's
take
good
that.
stuff.
I think it, yeah, for sure. I think it may even take that experience to fully realize that, you know,
Yeah,
to realize
definitely.
that this is what you want to do with your life.
For sure. And it definitely did, like I love the guys at the fire guy, like those guys are, man, they're built for that. You know what I mean? Like they're on it right away. We pull up to a scene and they're working, and like there was a couple times where I felt like I was like, man, I'm not ready for this. And they're like, come on, Reda, you got it. And they're like in there and they're working. And I'm like, dude, I don't know. Like my heart is feeling it right now. And I know their heart is feeling it too, but it's the job for them. You know what I mean? And like, it definitely took that for me to be like, yeah, I love coaching. I love training. Like I want to do that forever. I don't see myself ever not coaching. That's just like how it's become for me.
Yeah, and especially with the knowledge, because one thing I'd like to talk about is like the process of finding the knowledge. But there's a lot of people that have that traditional mindset, but you're bringing
Mhm.
a lot of value with the latest and greatest training methodologies that you're studying.
Yeah,
A lot of people are stuck inside the box.
they are. Right. And that's why I like the outside the box, right? It was Bo's idea. And now that was year 5, this last one we had. And it's like really every year it's gotten better. And like more people have came and more like people that are in that box want to come check it out. And I think it really helps it. Obviously social media is huge with like letting people see these different methodologies, but I also feel like some of the methodologies that we play with, some of those guys get stuck in their own box as well. You know what I mean? Which is like, that's the whole point of outside the box. But I get it too with like, the GLS guys or like, you know, whatever the fundamental or functional patterns guy, right? Like those guys are like,
Yeah.
that's the only way to do what they do. And there's no other way to do it. And if you do it any other way, your athletes are going to get hurt or people are not going to move efficiently or whatever. But like, that's not the human body.
So talk about that a little bit because you've been on these for a long time. Like you've been you've known about GOTA and whatnot before a lot of people probably knew about it. So how has that evolved and then yeah, and talk about the dogmatic approach that you were just going on right there.
Yeah. Like it really helps, like, because I definitely was following the GOTA stuff and looking into it like 2020, 2021. My good friend Mark Mion, he's actually he worked under Marv's brother. He did like did the Marinovich system too. So he's very like ingrained in, cycling everything. He did the GOTA, the GLS certification too. So I definitely like when I first was seeing it, it's like you can't unsee those movement patterns. You know what I mean? Like you see the leg load and you see that bow and you see the corner when it flips away. And it's like, yeah, I definitely see what they're talking about. The spiral energy of like the human body. It's like, it's right there when you watch the film, but also like some of the things that they would say, like, oh yeah, it's not genetic. Like everyone should be able to move like this. And then I see like my own kids, for example, like my oldest son, Atlas, like he's flat footed. He's inside ankle bone low. Like he moves like that, but he still can run. Like he's really big and he's kind of like awkward, like most kids are that are bigger than normal. So I think that affects it, but it's also like genetically, he's not pigeon toed and bow legged. Like he's not. And I know kids that are really fast or athletes I played with or have known that are really fast that aren't movers like that. So there's always like, it is black and white. Like you can recode your body to move like that for sure. There's people that have definitely, but it's not just like, this is the only way to move, because I've seen some flat footed folks run real fast. And I'm like, that man runs a 4.3 and he's flat footed and knock kneed. Like,
So he's using the big toe.
what was that?
And he's using the big toe.
And he's using his big toe, right? And Weck talks about that all the time, right? Like using your big toe. Like we've got it for a reason. It's not there just to like, just for looks, you know, and that's where your power is generating to get that little flick, you know, away. So, so that's why I love watching you. You've got to watch the backside mechanics on the kids run. You've got to watch the side mechanics as well, because some kids might be whippy and they might have that go to movement, that traditional bow and corner, but they're weak on their front side mechanics and they don't get that knee drive or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, those are things that we need to cue with this kid a little bit more. We need to work, maybe do some wall drills, maybe do some, you know, A switch doubles or whatever to get that front side a little bit stronger. And their backside is almost too strong. You know what I mean? Like it's overpowering, where they still need to be able to climb the hill and get that full extension on the front side. So yeah, being able to like see it and like have like learned all the different patterns and still always know that not every person is the same. You know what I mean? Like everyone's body is going to react to different training stimulus differently. And that's something that we always have to keep in mind too. It's just like coaching at the same time, right? Like their body might react differently to different stimuli, and every coach or every kid needs to be coached different. Some kids can get positive reinforcement. Some kids need that hard coaching. Some kids you can roast and mess around with, you know, and give them like some negative reinforcement, but like, you know, that'll kind of spark a fire in them. And they'll be like, all right, yeah, I'll show you, coach. You know, if you think, oh man, you're looking soft today. What's up, dude? I need a little more effort. And then they're like, okay, I'll show you. And then they go a little harder, you know? So like, you have to be able to know your athletes, know what stimuli helps them and gets the most out of them. And then, you know, that I think that's what really makes a great coach, honestly, is like being able to know the different needs of each athlete and then how to coach those needs.
One thing I really want to my bad, Andrew. Yeah. One thing I really want to hear from you coming from, you know, UbrZati is what you're looking for when it comes to running technique.
Running technique. That's a good question. What I look for in running technique is obviously front foot landing. That's like key number one, right? A lot of the kids are so heel heavy and they heel toe all the time. So I want to see front foot landing. I want to see full extension on the back. I want to see the knee fire through quick, big snappy knee drive. And then I want to see a little bit of wiggle on the backside, right? Like I want to see that kid have that little head over foot. You know, I don't need to be overdoing it, but we're not coaching robots. I don't want the kid to be rigid, right? Hey, loosen up a little bit, right? So for me, those are like the main things I want to see. Boom, 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 boom. And then, you know, you can get into arm swing and things like that. But I think that's something that's hard to coach depending on the athlete, because like you see the soccer players, and the soccer players are very like, right, they swing their arms like this because they're always trying to box out somebody to keep somebody from the ball. And like, I don't want to teach that athlete to be, you know, cheek to cheek, or, you know, if I'm double down pulsing like armpit to armpit, because then that might bring them to a disadvantage when they're playing soccer. You know what I mean? Because they're so used to like, I don't want this guy to get the ball, guy or girl to get the ball. So I need to use my arms as like a shield, you know? And then you see some of those guys that are World Cup, you know, FIFA level sprinters, and they've got horrible arm swing, and they're running at 22 miles an hour while they're dribbling the ball. I'm like, well, if that guy's running like that fast and he's dribbling the ball, who am I to correct his arm swing? You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And another thing that I want to mention is, so our journeys kind of started the same with changing our training methodologies. I was in college D1, where it was powerlifting, and then after tearing my ACL, I had to get into different things. I had to get into different things, and that's where I found Goda.
Okay.
And from Goda, I found ATG, and then I found functional patterns, WEC, all of that, and it all
It's like a spiral
together. Right. Yeah. So going off of that, like you were talking about, what makes a good coach is knowing how to adapt to your athletes. But do you think that having to adapt to yourself and having to really learn what you had to do to get yourself better is allowing you to see those adaptations for your athletes, because you had to live it yourself?
Definitely. I think like experience. That's why, like I said before, like we are our own like lab rats, you know, like I'm always like, hey, how can I want to get a little bit faster. So I'm going to start doing more of the Power Plus. I'm going to focus on this for this next 6 weeks of my own training. and see what it does for me, you know, or I need to hit more drop-ins because I feel like I'm getting a little bit collapsed when I'm running flat, you know, or like for me, something I feel like I need to work on at the top of my sprint when I'm full speed, I still get that little forward lean like I'm trying to accelerate. And you see elite sprinters, right? When they're at the top of that run, they're tall, chest is up, full knee drive, bum. And they're like, right? I know I've seen Weck talk about it. Like you're not reaching your maximum speed potential unless your torso is like nice and tall and you can get that full knee drive, bum. And I'm going to say the one thing about the treadmills I think has affected me in that aspect is constantly running uphill. So now that we're doing a lot more flat runs on the lasers and letting the kids open up flat, it's helping that portion of our athletes, but also even myself. Like I make sure I get out there and hit the lasers so that I open up and hit that full top end sprint, because that's what really separates, like, right? Usain Bolt. He did not have great acceleration off the blocks. He was not great, but when he got to that top speed, he was upright. And I think people as a whole are getting faster, but I don't think anyone will ever be faster than Usain Bolt. Like even the Olympic guys this last year, no one was close. It's like, it's the fastest man.
It's just a 6'5", 6'6" guy who's got perfect mechanics. You could literally see his arm throwing him forward while he's completely upright, and it's just the way his foot was hitting the floor. It's like the guy was floating.
It's crazy.
Like 10 every step.
God made him to be that guy forever. Like I don't think I honestly, it's crazy because you watch those like world records that he broke, and you're like, he wasn't even running full speed still. Like there was still some in there. He just was like, all right, cool, I won. Like I'm gonna slow down a stride early. Like, bro, you could have ran like a 9-1. But yeah,
I saw a clip of Ben Johnson, and he said he could have been faster had he not been eliminated from the Olympics for drug use.
I don't know, man. At that level too, dude, it's kind of like I always think of that right, the Nate Diaz, like everyone's on steroids. Like, I think everybody's like, when you get to that level, they just need to either test it to the point where you're complete, like everyone gets tested the same all the time, or let everyone be the most athletic freaky they can be. And let's see what the human body can really do, because it's like I took tests a couple years ago. The only time I've ever taken it, and I got injured. I've never been an injured guy. Like it was 4 years ago, and I was training. I was getting ready for the bobsled to try out for the bobsled team. My dad was like, "Hey man, I got some TRT if you want to try it for your recovery." I was like, "All right." Wasn't taking much. It was just like literally half a cc a week. And the next week, pulled my hamstring, got needled and I never get injured training, like ever. Pulled my hamstring. The following week, strained my calf. I was like, bro, what is going on? The week after that, tweaked my other calf. And then Bo was like, hey man, what are you doing, dude? You never get injured. And I was like, I know. So I was like, man, I just like, because I feel like I'm 31 now, I'm trying to go out for the bobsled team. Maybe I just wanted to get a little help. He's like, bro, you're 31, you train hard, you've never had an issue. Like, you don't need that stuff. So I hopped off it, literally no injuries. And since then, other than like whatever, I tweaked my back a little bit, but like never had any injuries since then. So it's like, I feel like it needs to be, if they were going to do it, they need to regulate it, obviously. Or just let us have like a clean Olympics and a steroid Olympics, and let's see what these. I want to see
the enhanced games.
Yeah.
You know about that? Do you know about the enhanced games?
No, this is a thing.
Yeah. Okay. So here we go. This is a great topic. The enhanced games are geared towards breaking the world records. They're taking the fastest events, the 50 meter freestyle in swimming, the 100-meter dash in running,
bro.
Olympic weightlifting, and they're allowing the participants to go under protocols where they're allowed to take whatever they want, and they're going to be in these specific training programs. And I watched the documentary. I'll send it to you guys, to both of you guys after. But this has been a huge controversy in the swimming world because the guy broke the world record in the 50-meter freestyle. Okay. And he was juicing. And the thing is, it's like, what you're talking about now is that the body has that much more strength than it can actually handle. So is it safe on a health level? No, probably not. But then you
Probably
look at the actual health of the body, and it's like it's probably not safe in that aspect either, because you take your performance to certain levels that it shouldn't be able to get.
for sure. You know, and that's what I think, like, why, like, strength, world's strongest man. Like, we all know those guys say that they don't take anything. We know those guys are all on stuff. But I'm like, do it, bro. I want to see you be the strongest MF to walk the planet. Like, I think that is sick. Hafthor Bjornsson, Brian Shaw. I want those guys, like, why not let them push the physical limitations of what the human body can do? Like, it's sick. And then they're doing insane stuff. And you're like,
100%.
yeah, you know, that's not how we, and this goes back to like movement, right? Well, that's not how we should move. Says who? Like, they want to move like that, and they want to pick up a semi truck or pull it 50 yards. Let them do it. And I'm going to be like, yeah, bro.
Yeah, if you could do that, like, if you could do that, why the hell not?
Why not, dude? Like, dude, I can walk
There's
with a car
nothing more
body that weighs
sick than
1,000
that.
pounds, 50 yards. All right, let me see. Like, I want to watch. Dude, that's sweet.
100%. I was telling Brett that strongman is probably one of my, like, between swimming, strongman, and football, those are my favorite sports to watch.
All day.
I can't, you can never get enough of watching those strongman competitions, especially like doing a freaking plane carry where they strap themselves in and they're dragging a plane.
I'm like, bro, I've got a sled that I put 500 pounds on. And I'm like, these guys are pulling a plane. Like, give me a break. You know how many people
Yeah,
see
like,
that plane? Yeah, it's
imagine
crazy.
their Achilles. Like you want to put them on a Goda slant board, like they can fucking they can handle it.
Yeah, dude.
They can
Bro,
handle that.
like, those guys are built, they're built to do that. Like, genetically, you look at Brian Shaw, he's a humongous human being. Hafthor Bjornsson, those guys are literally like, they were built different. So that for us to not allow them to push that limit even more would be like, in my opinion, it'd be doing them a disservice almost. It's like, dude, you're 6'9", naturally you weigh 275. All right, get to 400 pounds because your frame can handle it. And now let's see how heavy you can go with stuff. Like, that's crazy. Watching Eddie Hall deadlift 500 kilos, right? Like, blood from the nose, the crowd going crazy. Like, those are moments that are like, in sport, in my opinion, like, those are moments that'll like last forever, bro. Like, people will be like, hey, he was the first guy to pull 500 pounds at the deadlift, you know, worlds. And the crowd is going crazy. Like, that's just, it's insane.
I'd like to be in the room when they create these competitions, see what they're talking about, because there's always some crazy apparatus that they put together for these strongman competitions.
Me and my boy, right? So now me and my boy Nico, he's the speed coach. Oh, you guys met Nico. He was outside the box at the Fro. He works at Spectrum. So we had this idea because we were talking like a few years ago about how crazy of an athlete Chamberlain was. And I'm like, yeah, he's 1% kind of guy. Like, whatever he tries, he's got the body awareness to be able to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, he's one of those guys that his mind body connection is on another level compared to just the average person, or even like some regular athletes, you know, like, well, I see some elite athletes. I'm like, yeah, that guy's elite, but like Chamberlain's ability to like see it and adapt to it and then do it is on another level. So I was like, there needs to be some kind of show that's like, what do we consider the greatest athlete of all time? Like, I feel like you'd need like a big, a wheel that you spin a wheel. Cause what do we consider like athletic movements? Climbing a tree, for sure. That's athletic. Rock climbing, that's athletic. Throwing an axe, that's athletic. You know, like, those are all things that, like, I know I couldn't take Usain Bolt's the fastest man alive, but I'm sure he's not going to hit a bullseye with an axe from 50 yards away. So, like,
yes, this is something that we talk about a lot is which athletes, so like from which sporting background, are able to do what you're talking about. Like, which athletes can spin the wheel and will be able to pick up that new task relatively easily and do it well. Who do you think those athletes are? What sport?
Those athletes are that are right now, like around right now, or like of all time?
No,
Like not like specific like people, not specific like people,
sport,
just Yeah, like for me, I went and I said baseball players. I think they can pick up new tasks relatively well and,
Yeah,
and do it
I would agree.
efficiently.
Actually, baseball players for sure, because I think that they have to have, right. They're like a spectrum as an individual player has to be more well-rounded than a football player, right? Like they have to be able to see a baseball coming 100 miles an hour. So their hand-eye coordination is crazy, right? They know how to swing. They know how to throw really well. They have to be able to run, right? Like I have to be able to go 60 yards or 60 feet from home to first fast. Yeah, I feel like baseball players are pretty up there. I'm going to say hockey players are probably pretty close too. Like I think they're very similar. Like the hockey kids, we've got a hockey team that comes in. They've got some kids obviously that aren't very athletic, but the athletic kids on the hockey team are athletes. Like they can run. They're agile, they're quick. You got to think, dude, hockey, you're going like what, 50 miles an hour on the
Oh, yeah, you're going fast. I played for a couple years.
dude, and then you're getting smoked into the wall. Like that
Yeah.
puck is flying, dude. Like your eye to follow the puck is hard if you're just watching the game from the stands.
We had a guy one time. I don't think I've ever told this story. We had a guy one time, and keep in mind, we're like, I don't remember. I think we're like probably 13 years old, right? So, but it's the competitive league, like it's not the house league. So you can still
Okay.
hit. But I don't remember the exact details as to why this happened. But all I remember is the game was over. We lost. Homeboy takes his stick and just rams it into the guy's neck, like full swing, like totally not.
Oh,
He got banned for life, I think it was. But
bro,
yeah,
crazy, dude. Banned for life. Never again.
like the full baseball bat swing to the neck.
Oh,
Oh
dude.
my
I would say
God.
honestly, quarterbacks though too. Because like good quarterbacks now, they got to be able to run. Period. Like you can't play quarterback unless you can be mobile to an extent. So yeah, then let me think, man. You know who we don't talk about anymore, which used to be the greatest athlete in the world, was decathletes. Like
Okay.
they
Yeah.
they literally have to be able to do every track event in 2 days and have right. That this goes back to almost their stamina, like full circle to like what level do they need to keep their training or their percentage at. They know they've got 2 days, 5 events each day, and it alternates. I need to be able to throw a javelin. I need to be able to throw a shot put. I need to be able to do 400-meter hurdles. I need to be able to do a 100-meter sprint. I need on the last event of the last day, I need to do whatever it is, 1,500-meter run. Like those guys need to really, they do pole vault. Like where does their training go? Where like, I need to take it easy because I don't throw a javelin that well, but the 100 meters next, and I'm faster than these guys. So like, I'm not going to give all out energy when I throw this javelin. But we go 100-meter,
And
I'm
what's
going to
interesting to me,
dig.
like one of the things that's interesting to me is that neither one of them are the best at any of it, but
Exactly.
they're really good at a lot of it.
They're still elite, right? At everything. So those are definitely guys that like you have to take into consideration for who could do most things. And then I think too, like, man, I can't lie. When you look at a guy like Michael Phelps or like an elite swimmer, like they've got that build that I feel like, Phelps, I feel like he could probably run. You know what I mean? He was like long. I feel like he could probably, their arm strength, the shoulder strength has to be strong if you're like throwing something.
I'll contend you a bit on that. Swimmers translate really well into golf, but they don't translate that well into land sports because of how flexible we get.
Okay.
So like our ankles are extremely floppy. So when you see us run, it's not that good.
A lot
And the
of,
knees, yeah, and the knees as well. Because we have to be really good at snapping our legs. And in a
yeah.
really like if you watch like the kick, like the underwater kick for swimming, it's like that breaks every rule that you gotta have for good sprinting.
Okay. Interesting. That's
But
crazy.
for golf, though, Michael Phelps is he's a pretty good golfer now. I wouldn't say he's elite, but he's going to big tournaments because of the flexibility in the thoracic and the rotation that you develop in swimming. Swimmers become extremely good at golf.
Okay. That's pretty sick, actually. I'm going to say I'm a horrible golfer. I feel like I have none of that flexibility in my upper body at all.
Yeah, so
I enjoy
it's
golf. I
interesting
don't
how,
think
like,
I'm good
each
at it,
sport-
but I've played a couple of times. I enjoy
You
it
go
for
out
sure.
on the hang out with the boys on the
Yeah, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
even
With the
like,
boys.
but then it's like, what is athletics still too? Because then you take those guys and like I know Brett, we'd already like kind of talked about it, like big wave surfers. I'm gonna say those guys are some of the most elite individuals in the world, like
Yeah,
period.
yeah,
That the ocean is scary, like we talked about it before we started recording. Like the ocean is scary for sure. If you're never been in the ocean before and you don't know how to swim or you don't understand rip currents and things like that, it's already scary. So then you're taking a scary element and then you're putting, we'll even say, right, it doesn't even have to be an 80-foot wave. 20-foot wave is big. Like
that's an
that's
people
big
people
surf.
never seen that in their life.
Never.
You don't see
Like
that going to the beach on a Saturday.
no, like
You don't only
1%
see that
of the
on
population.
Florida either.
And then to paddle out and ride on those waves and get barreled and like it's like, and then the reef is 2 feet deep underneath you. I'm like, dude, that's different. Like you got to be a different person.
Yeah,
When we were in Hawaii, we went spearfishing actually, and the guy I went with, Devin, he's like a spear fisherman. He's a waterman, like a through and through waterman, right? He free dives, he big wave surfs, he spear fishes. So I was like, bro, I want to go spear fishing. Like, he's like, you can hold your breath, right? I'm like, yeah, I do breath work, right? I do pranayama, I do Wim Hof. Like, yeah, for sure. I can hold my breath for like 2 minutes. He's like, all right, yeah, you'll be good. We go out, right? First off, we swim out, probably like we go out from the beach and then we swim down maybe like 3/4 of a mile. And we're probably 200, 300 yards offshore. It's like 20 feet deep. And I'm like, we already had swam this far at 8:30 in the morning. I'm like, man, I'm feeling it a little bit, just a little bit. And Devin goes down there. Like, granted, he had like his full spear diving gear on. He had the weighted belt. He had his like rash guard. He had a nice gun. I just had the little 3-prong, the Hawaiian sling. So we come to this cave that's like 20 feet down. He swims down to it, lays down all the way flat, right? Like you see him do at the bottom of the water. And he's looking in there. 20 seconds, swims back up. He's like, all right, man, there's like all these redfish. They're good to eat. He's like, this is a perfect spot for you to like shoot your first couple fish. I was like, all right, cool. Dude, took a breath, swim down there. Right when I get to the bottom, I'm like, bro, I'm about to drown. I like tried to lay flat and I couldn't lay down. Swim back up. I'm like, catch your breath. He's like, it's all good, bro. Just take a couple of tries. I did like 8 reps trying to get down to the cave and I was gassed. I swam back to the top. I'm like, dude, it's ridiculous. He's like, all right, maybe we'll find somewhere more shallow. I was like, yeah, dog. Like that was deep. But he's like, really though, I want to go catch some good stuff. So the good stuff is farther out. I'm like, all right. So I was with him and my buddy Trent. It was his second time going. He was with this other guy, Derek. So we ended up getting split up. So I'm with Devin. Devin's got the buoy around his waist. And we swim probably a mile down from the beach. And now we're probably 1,000 yards out from the coastline. And the water is deep. It is like 70, 80 feet deep. And he's like, swimming up at top. He's like, all right, this is a good little spot because I see fish everywhere on the reef at the bottom. He dives down all the way to the bottom. And he's got this little shiny thing. It looks like a baton. And he starts clanging it on the reef. Cling, cling, cling. And all the fish start swimming around all crazy. And he lays down there for 2 minutes, 80 feet down. And I'm at the top of the water and I'm like counting 2, 3. I'm like, bro, what? It's like 1 minute, 1, 2. And he's still hanging out down there with his gun. Just like completely still. I'm like, dude, what is going on? And he swims back up to the top. He's like, how you doing? I'm like, I'm good, bro. But you were just down there for 2 minutes. Like, what are we doing, dude? He's like, yeah, man. Normally I dive at around 100 feet. I'm like, dude, I am like, so then he goes down again, right? And he's hanging out. And then the fish are all gone. And I'm sitting down there and I'm still like, in just like, how is he doing this? But there's no fish around. And I'm like looking around. I like pop my head up out the water. There's no one else around. And I look back down at him and I'm like, man, this feels kind of sharky all of a sudden. He's down there. He's clanging this thing, sounding like a dead fish. And I'm floating at the top of the water like a turtle, like just asking for it. So he comes back up. I'm like, yeah, bro, I feel like I want to go in. So we end up going in. 2 hours later, tiger shark in the same area. It's like, bro. I'm like, you go do this for like 4 hours at a time. We're out there for 2 hours. He's like, yeah, man, I do it for like 4 to 5 hours. I'm like, dude, you're different. Like that's a different level of athleticism to me.
Yeah, that's impressive.
Yeah,
That's different. That's definitely built different.
dude, just 80 feet
That's what we
down,
did in
holding his
college.
breath, steady aim with the gun. I'm like, dude, I couldn't even get 20 feet down.
That's
I
something.
think
That's something we would do in college. I went to school up in Boca, and we would swim out on Saturdays. We'd go out. We go out on the reef. Someone would go with a kayak, and then bring all the gear in the kayaks, and we'd swim out, and then we'd go spearfishing for our dinner that night.
Dude, that's cool. Dude, that's real life stuff too. You know what I mean? Like he's like, yeah, when I spearfish, I hunt. He's like, I got to catch at least 4 or 5 fish for the family for the next couple of days. And like, that's how they provide food for his family. You know, I'm like, that's like some OG stuff right there too. Like, not only is it like hard and a skill and like an ability to be able to do, but then like the satisfaction of being able to like eat that and like provide is just, it's cool stuff. Like I was like, man, I want to learn how to spearfish when we got home, and spearfishing's awful around here. There's no reefs. It's all sand bottom. There's no visibility. You got to go down south, like by you, like down there to like Fort Pierce and south is the only places.
You can do it in Sarasota as well. Sarasota, the West Coast, they've got really good. They got hogfish there.
Okay.
Hogfish is great for spearfishing because the hogfish they won't like run away from you. The redfish will run away from you for sure, but
Yeah.
the hogfish are kind of dumb. They kind of look at you while you have the gun right in front of them, and they just kind of look at you. They don't try to swim away or anything, and they
Yeah,
stay still. But yeah, down in Sarasota they got some real good spearfishing.
Okay. It's good to know, man, because I definitely am like, I want to try it out again. I can't go on. I went on an L. Just like, man, I tried like 6 dives, took the L. I was like, I'm good, bro. I'll let you do your thing. I'm just gonna cruise around and snorkel.
Yeah, sports that are contending with nature are different.
Dude, yeah. Like Free Solo after I watched that movie.
Yeah.
Watch that
Oh
guy.
my.
Like, dude.
Insane. Something that I've been really enjoying recently is climbing. Not
Really?
outside though. I mean, there's nowhere to climb, in Florida, but going to climbing gyms, I love it.
Okay. The body, like, right. It's obviously a full workout, but then it's like you have to like pre-plan your steps or then even make a decision on the fly, huh?
On the fly, yeah. It's very technical. It's very technical, very precise, and like the body awareness and the control that you have to have is yeah, you definitely have to have that quality, and then the finger strength.
Dude, that's definitely probably crazy, bro. But that's why you were throwing you squeezed the thing. You did like 175 or whatever.
Yeah, I remember I had a pretty high number on the squeeze.
Dude, we've got this 16-year-old kid, right? His name's Noah Renez. He's a 3-star linebacker right now. He's gonna be a junior. He's already got a bunch of D1 offers, right? He plays middle linebacker. It's like 6'3", 230. Dude, went in there a couple weeks ago. He's like, hey, Coach Dylan, what's the best you've ever done on this thing? I was like, 173 or whatever. He goes, squeezes it, brings it over there, 180. I was like, Noah, bro, are you kidding me? I was like, no, that thing's flawed. Do it in your left hand. Does it in his left hand. 175. I was like, bro, you're 16, dude. What are we talking about here?
That's nuts, man.
It's crazy how these kids are getting so crazy. Like they're getting so genetically just like wired from the beginning to be elite.
Dude, for sure. I think it's like obviously now, like how full circle in our conversation back to like training the kids from an early age, how to move, how to move with efficiency, how to be fast, how to train fast, how to be strong in these positions, and then how to throw weight around in those strong positions. Like we're starting that at an earlier age now, at a younger threshold. And then I just remember right now, I got to like laugh about this. Like my dad, I remember him telling me like, you always got to find a breeder. Like you got to find an athlete. Like your wife should be tall, fat, whatever. Like I think back on that, I think, who was it? Was it Ocho Cinco or one of those guys?
Oh, dude, that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
Talking to Shannon Sharp, but my dad's like, I remember like in high school, he's like, make sure you date an athlete. Like you don't, like if you date an athlete, your mindsets will be way more similar. You know what I mean? Like you understand more hard work, like your schedules would align more, but then also like, I want my kids to be athletic. So like, I don't want to put them at an athletic disadvantage.
Yeah, for sure. Dude, the
So you
Ocho
got to
Cinco
think for the
clips are
future here too.
yeah, man. I'm right there with you. The Ocho Cinco clips are hilarious, man. He's like, we're not going to dinner, we're going to Dave and Buster's. He's like, I need to see your lateral movement.
Exactly, bro. Facts. But what I think is hindering kids now is like the sports specialization, and like I know now that is like a hot topic and a lot of people talk about it, but like it's the truth. Like you're putting your kid at an athletic disadvantage if you're only letting them play soccer year round, baseball year round. Like, the reps that they're going to get on that one, right? If it's a pitcher and they're 8 or 9 years old and they're throwing however many pitches they throw already, and then you're doing it for the whole year until they're 18 for 10 years straight, they're going to be worn out already. They're going to have shoulder, elbow issues, right? Soccer
We see
players,
it.
like it's all the time. And I'm like, there's a reason why you see like back in the day, or even like the most athletic people that you see even now, they played multiple sports. You know what I mean? Like they definitely gave themselves, you get an off season from whatever sport you do love the most. And then you're also giving yourself, an ability to learn different movement patterns, right? And like, that's why if it's a football kid, depending on the position, I tell them they should wrestle or they should play basketball because they're going to get that lateral movement, right? They're going to get the explosivity. If they're, like a receiver or a DB and they're jumping a lot, it's going to cross over for football. If you're a linebacker, a D line, O lineman, you should wrestle. You're going to learn leverage. You're going to learn how to use your hands better. You're going to become a better tackler, and then lacrosse. That's another slept on sport, dude.
Yeah.
Lacrosse is legit. I mean,
Legit.
but like a lot of these kids only play lacrosse. But I'm like, dude, if you get some elite football players playing lacrosse, your lacrosse team's going to be legit. And the kids are going to, the movements are the same. Soccer and lacrosse should almost be the same too. I'm scoring on a goal. I'm cutting. I'm changing direction. I'm running on the turf. Right. And it's like these parents want their kids to only play. Oh, they love baseball. They only want to play baseball. Well, that's all you've ever let them play. You decided when they were 7 years old, you're going to be a baseball player. Well, what percentage of those kids are going to go pro? 1.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, bro. That was me. That was me with baseball. But I would see it all the time. I would see it all the time with like injuries, exactly what you're talking about. Because it was like, I mean, we had a pretty like solid team that we stayed with each other throughout the years, like from a young age, probably like I don't know, around that like 12, 13 range all the way until graduating high school.
yeah,
It was like the same crew, but yeah, man, the injuries are real. And then the burnout.
it's real.
The
Yeah,
burnout is real. And I don't know any of those fellas that made it pro.
right. It's like you got to be like the guys actually like I know one guy, Anthony Alford, he became a pro baseball player, but he played football with me at Southern Miss. He was a quarterback. And then he went and he played for the Pittsburgh Pirates and he played for the Blue Jays. But he was a dual sport athlete, like then you think of like a lot of wrestlers that played football too, and they became elite wrestlers or whatever as well. It's like, or vice versa, a lot of like the legit O linemen, they were wrestlers all through high school. Like, but that built their base, their athleticism became better because of it. And it's like, I can make your kid faster. I can do things to help them. But until it's in a real live against other kids situation, like the soccer kids are always going to be able to run in a straight line and, make some diagonal cuts. But if they're only a soccer player and you put them on a basketball court and they've got to cover somebody, if they're trying to shuffle and play defense, they're going to be lost and they're going to get crossed up. Oh, I forgot we've got a Father's Day brunch. I don't know if oh yeah.
You got to get going.
Yeah, I forgot we've got a brunch at my grandma's house.
Well, cool, man. I mean, we could definitely wrap it up, dude. We appreciate you coming on.
Dude, I appreciate you guys, man. We got to talk more. This is good.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Yeah, we could definitely do another one for sure.
I appreciate you guys having me on, man. It was definitely just being able to talk with like-minded, about how things are changing and how we're like, dude, really like the three of us and like everyone that we've already like interacted with, like we're going to be the ones that are going to make that change, and really like bring it to these kids, and help them see what we've seen and like understand it. So then like, in the next 10 years, man, right, these kids are already becoming athletic, bigger, stronger, but now we're going to be able to really like tap into that a lot more.
Yeah, man.
It's gonna be cool. I appreciate you guys, man.
Dude, man, thank you for coming on.
closing thoughts. What's your favorite football team? Who's your
My
NFL
favorite
team?
NFL. Oh
Yeah.
man, I grew up a Raider fan, but they moved to LA, and I kind of like gave up on them. Or when they moved to Vegas, I kind of said I'm not a Raider fan anymore. And I root for the Bucks. I'm going to say like as a Florida team. So it's like they're a pirate mascot still. You know what I mean? It's like, but honestly, dude, I haven't watched the NFL in years. I watch college ball, and I really feel like now because we work with these high school kids, I watch way more high school football. You know, like
Okay.
I'm Friday nights, I'm watching high school games because like you still feel that like there's some actual like I don't know, passion. Like it's not for the money anymore in that sense. You know what I mean? Which I know is like a cliche thing to say, but like you get these guys, like you're saying, Brett, like a group of guys that have played with each other since Pop Warner. It's like, it's cool watching a team like that, you know, try to make a run. So, you
Yeah.
know, I've definitely been way more in tune with the high school sports around here. And then I'll watch like the NFL clips here and there. I watch a lot of the European football though, actually, because I played football over there.
Dude, watching high school, I mean, I can't say I've done that recently, but that's like, I mean, that's the future, man. That's good. It's good gameplay as well, especially if
Dude,
it's
exactly.
an elite team that's making a name for themselves.
Dude, exactly, bro. So, yeah. But if you guys have never seen it, there's the ELF. It's the European League of Football. It's over Germany, Austria. They play American football, and it's pretty high level actually. Each team is allowed to have 4 Americans. That's where Nico played, my boy. I played over in Denmark for 4 years, but now they've got a team in that league, and it's basically taken what the NFL Europe did and kind of like tried to revamp it, and it's a lot of homegrown. So like, there's still some like, it's not as good as right college ball, but like it's about junior college level, maybe Division 2, like the better teams, Division 3, because like the guys over there take it serious, but they still work full-time jobs, you know? So it's like,
Yeah.
so, but yeah.
Well, cool, man. Where can we find you on Instagram? Where can we train with you or check out what you got going on?
At Dylan Reda on Instagram or at UbrZati official. You know, that's where we're at. You can see what we do on a day-to-day basis. And then if you want to just see how I train and the things I do personally, just at Dylan Reda on my Instagram.
Perfect, man. Thank you for coming on. It's been a great episode. Thank you guys for watching to the end. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Appreciate you, gentlemen.